How y'all doing? I just had to put, I mean, the play on words. I don't know if anybody else has used it, but you know, they call it Stormy Monday. But anyway, I watched the entire 60-minute. Oh, hi, I'm the Laughing Ogre. This is Common Senseguy. You probably know that if you're here. If you don't know that, you do now. Run, tell your friends. This is our new little platform that we're using until my channel's back up and running on the live stream. Invite whoever you want. Invite your friends. If you like us, invite your enemies. If you don't like us, maybe they'll come and they won't like us too. And, you know, you'll have done that to them.
And then we can get some drama, and then we can get some fucking subs.
Get 3 million subs, right? Yes. Okay. Well, I couldn't help myself this morning. And the first thing I did is went to Drudge, and lo and behold, on one of the first stories I looked at, there was a link, and it showed the whole uninterrupted interview with Stormy Daniels. They keep calling her adult actor. She's a porn star, and she directs porn movies. She does do some adult movies that are what we consider X-rated, or a lot of them are given a NC-17, which means no admittance under 17, period.
Yeah, we call them blue screens.
Right. It's just there is no hokey pokey, like in and out shots.
It's soft porn.
Yes. You get the idea what they're doing for sure. And she directs those and has starred in those. She's also starred in flat out, all out porn. Does that matter? No. Doesn't matter to me. I just want to set the dinner table and then we can eat. Common sense. It doesn't matter to me any more than it matters to me if Donald Trump, if she was his mistress while his wife was recuperating from having a baby. I can almost guarantee you they keep showing Melania Trump, and they're like, oh, she hasn't been seen next to the president. I look back in history, and yeah, she's here, she's there, she goes all over with him. And they're like, oh, how she must feel. Listen, folks, if this happened, which it probably did in my mind, I mean, it probably happened in my mind. That's where I'm coming from. If you think that Mrs. Trump didn't know about it, I think you're a little naive. Maybe you think I'm a little naive, but remember, there's prenups with her. They have agreements. People that are in this position of she's 70 years old now. She's 43, 44, I believe. She's young, a lot younger. Do you think that she hasn't already let him know? Well, you do understand that when it's completely and you can't put it in your guma or anybody else, let alone me, I'm going to have a dude that comes by and, sausage delivery for Mrs. Trump, and then that's, if anybody thinks that that's not the way it is, it is. That's why I believe firmly she doesn't care now. She got into this. I mean, please goodness, she speaks 5 languages. Trump is a master deal maker, whether you like it or not. He really is. He is a master businessman, whether you like it or not. He really is. If you think these people don't know what's going on and don't have an agreement, watch the show. I recommend the UK version. I'm not pandering to you, Common Sense. I just really do. Francis Urquhart in House of Cards. And this is so close to reality, I think it screams reality. So there you go, Common Sense. I think that it stems from I mean, look at the palace intrigue in France and the courtesans, and look at I mean, your own country, how far this goes back, and the Duke of this such and so is screwing.
I do think it more stems to the fact of more people are not interested in the intrigue of what's going on with Trump. They're looking for reasons to impeach him. They're looking for reasons to foul and folly his bad name. I would probably have to actually ask you one second. This was actually done before he was president, wasn't it?
Yeah, long before. This was allegedly started around 2006. Yeah, long before.
Then that's fine. Then he didn't use his power or influence as a president as somebody else did to influence somebody to do something. Then this is purely what you would call a consensual, whether money changed hands or not, a consensual adult relationship that happened. Whether Melania knew or not doesn't fucking matter, because it doesn't matter at all. Same as it doesn't matter if Trump tried to silence her, and afterwards, it doesn't matter, simply because they were all consenting fucking adults, and no pressure or power was used in this whatsoever. Maybe again, consenting adults, porn star, what the fuck do you expect is going to happen? Mean it in a nice way. The woman does it as a business. She's a businesswoman.
She even said, she came out of the bathroom and he was there perched on the bed, and she thought to herself, uh-oh, look what I got myself into. I think a lot of this is to try to humiliate Trump, because he asked her, were you attracted to him? No. Did you want to have sex with him? No. But were you forced? No, not in any way whatsoever. So she is basically telling you, yeah, I'm the kind of girl that if you put me in the position where I'm not even attracted to you, but I feel like I owe you I'm sorry, man. I'm just laying it out there. I owe you sex. I'm going to give it to you, even if I lay there and take it and don't necessarily enjoy it. Do I believe all that? Well, if you go back into Donald Trump's life, I mean, he's a lot older there, so very possibly it's true. But, oh, man, they tried to hit him that way with his second wife, and there was this long thing where she explained about, I don't even want to get into it because he is president right now. I mean, maybe his libido's slowed or something has changed, or he's not her type, whatever. But the idea of trying to shame the man this way, as many women would probably come forward and say, oh, yeah, he was great, blah, blah, blah. It's just so crazy to be common sense. I can't believe.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that woman. Now, I'm going to completely and utterly forget the gentleman's name. But he's kind of a nerdy kind of. And apparently this girl spent the night with him, did whatever she wanted to do and everything like that. And she moaned at the end of it, saying that he didn't have a good date. It wasn't good, and he forced me to do stuff, but then it wasn't.
Like the Indian guy, I think he is.
That's the one. That's exactly the one. That's exactly the one. It reminds me of those type of stories where, well, now that he's president and he's got a bit of power, I'm going to try and produce more of this story to see if I can get some more money. Because I don't really give a shit about his version of the story and his version of events. But whatever I can do to twist it, to try and get more money out of it, like the hands match the fucking drapes or whatever. You kind of, well, you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, this is what it's come to. I mean,
exactly. And that's the pettiness of just fucking people in general now. It doesn't matter if the story is true or false or anything. It's a case of, I'm going to peddle this story because I want to be recognized. I want to use my influence that I've gained off of this person or this casting couch or this man that I dated for a night just because I wanted to get known for the night. And I'm going to now spread my story far and wide, just like I did my legs. Oops, sorry, come out.
Well, and look, all I can say is there's one thing that does throw me off a bit with this. I'm not saying that Trump didn't do anything with her. I really am not. I already made it clear. I believe he probably did. But common sense, can you really see a guy that has a handshaking problem, keeps a bottle of Purell in his pocket because he has a germ issue, really like deep diving in bareback with a porn star? I kind of have an issue with it, but I will say this: a lot of times that poontang makes you forget about a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, it does. I mean, at the end of the day, he's had children, so I think he can get over that instant. So he can definitely do that, and he's been known as a philanderer as well for
a long
most
time
of his adult life,
all of his life. That's why another thing. Anybody's shocked, as if anybody's shocked about any of this. That's why I wrote it twice. I mean, to me, common sense just kind of melts in. It's the next story on the list, but it's the same story. So I'm just going to pop it up quickly. Look at this. See her eyes. I don't know why I've got that funny look right there. It's not on my monitor, but it's broadcast that way. And you can see she has these giant dilated eyes, and they were showing, and you can see the lights. I mean, they're in a studio. They should be pinpricks. They showed shots. I don't know if it's on this one. No, apparently not. But they showed shots of Anderson Pooper's eyes, and the poop, they were pinpricks. So she's probably on some kind of drug. I mean, alcohol doesn't usually quite do that to you. That's usually
not that wide. Definitely not that fucking wide.
It's usually a sign of methamphetamine or cocaine or possibly a hallucinogenic drug. Like,
yeah, it's definitely a fucking very strong upper.
But is
very, very strong.
Are you surprised about that?
No, because in her profession, or her profession when she was younger or whatever, she's going to be, as you quite rightly said, laying with people that she doesn't know, doesn't care about, doesn't have any sort of emotional connection at all about. How the fuck is she going to get through that as a business? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get myself fucking stoned as fucking shit, and I'm going to lie there and take it and pretend that I fucking enjoy it, and you know, take that grand, 2 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand at the end of it and fuck off.
Yeah. And as men, we kind of got to do this. You know, I don't think, do we give people a pass or do we condemn them based on what they do for a living? In other words, do we give Trump a pass because he's president? Do we condemn her because she's a porn star? Do we give Trump a pass because, you know, he doesn't use drugs as a teetotaler and wants to execute drug dealers? Or do we, condemn her because she's obviously stoned up here?
I don't think it really matters if she's stoned. I don't really think it matters about certain things with Trump. The only thing that would change this story is if Trump was president and instead of paying her, used his influence from the presidency to get what he wanted. That's the only thing that would change this story, and I'm looking. That's the only thing that would actually change this story, is if he used the fact of he is president to get.
Yeah, well, he did say, Common Sense, that he was on The Apprentice and that she might be a good contestant. He'd try to get her on. So,
well, that's different. That's usually a position of work. That's not the same as using your power and influence as a political office. But there's a slight difference. You know, I'm going to go down to the bar tonight and I'm going to be a fucking airline pilot. It's not the same thing as me going down and going, well, I'm an MP for Labour today, and I'm actually an MP for Conservatism. It doesn't really fucking matter, does it? It just matters, are you using that as a political point, or are you actually using that just to, you know, lie a little bit to make yourself sound better?
Oh, yeah. And now see, they're trying to make it illegal, but that was used to be my modus operandi. I used to, anyway, I'm not going to get into that too much. Whenever I was places where people didn't know me, I did tell them that I worked for the Swanson Frozen Food Corporation and that I was a rep there to make sure that the various supermarkets in the area were putting our product at eye level and putting our little automatic coupons out and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, I had a whole little spiel for it. Wouldn't tell people. I've always been the way I am now. I've never just walked up and told people my name. You can see written on my shirt here. That's what most people know me by that don't know me well. But anyway, yeah, I hate that, man. We should be able to be anonymous. It sucks in one way, but I'm going to say this. Hey, I don't think that Donald Trump should be insulated from this. I think it sucks. I mean, the last president we had that I know of that was going and doing all this stuff was JFK. They shot that poor son of a bitch. He was a legendary coxman. He used to get laid left, right, front, center. I mean, for goodness sake, chances are he probably did, you know, get some from Marilyn Monroe, the hottest.
Oh, he definitely did.
He definitely. Thank you. I mean, I hate to just come out, but you did, so I'm going to go with that. So you really don't feel. I don't want to backpedal too much, but don't you think that this is something that separates us from the monkeys? This thing that even inside of me, as much as I'd want to deny it, this castle intrigue. I popped up a couple of her porns. It was like, damn, this chick. Oh my goodness. I'm just holding my head down and going, Lord have mercy. Trump.
I suppose I've never really had that type of thing with castle intrigue or the celebrity type of status. I've never really put people with any sort of ilk or feelings above anybody else. They're just people. They eat and shit like the rest of us. So I've never had that interest in things. But should we put Donald Trump's past on blast? To a point, yeah. Know who's actually in the presidency, but personal about who he fucks and who he hasn't fucked, I don't really think that really matters about how you're going to be able to run a political office, because you have to look at the context of what the man's actually doing. He's running as president. It doesn't really matter if the bloke's fucked 50 women, 2 women, or if he's paid 1. It doesn't matter about that point. It matters, does he use his power for influence? And yeah, so what? He's paid for a couple, probably, maybe. Who knows?
Well, I'm not going to waver in one
thing.
A
shit.
Even when I was 19, I'm going to stick with what I felt then. I'm not going to waver on this. Look, if Melania is blowing him in the Oval Office, I don't dig that, man. I do not dig that. And yeah, I'm sure don't believe me, I'm not naive. I'm sure that presidents have snorted coke in there, banged hookers. I'm sure Barack was probably banging little boys. Who knows what these people were doing in there? I'm sure bad stuff has happened, but I don't think it should. And I don't even believe, I mean, I understand that the president lives somewhere in this compound, in this, edifice, this giant building. but not in the Oval Office. That isn't his. That's his office temporarily for 4 years at a time, and max for 8. Other than that, you know, he shouldn't be. Just like, I'll give you an example. This to show you that I'm a little nitpicky about stuff like this. If you remember, I didn't say much about it then because I hate to focus on petty shit like this. But there was a picture of Kellyanne Conway, like all like she lived there with her feet up on the thing to get a better. There should be photographers for that. And no, you have to consider the way you're sitting, the way you're portraying the office, the building, the office itself of President of the United States. And look, I'm obviously going on. Maybe I'm a little too symbolic about stuff like that. I don't care who Donald Trump humps right now, as long as it's not in the Oval Office and in the daggone somewhere in some bathroom in the Senate, just because he's a big shot and he can get some poontang off on the side somewhere at noon. I don't buy that. And yes, once again, to make it clear, even his wife. I mean, there's some things you don't fart in church. You don't pick your nose in court. That's just the way it is.
I'd have to agree with you, even though obviously I'm not American, but I can empathize with your points and then put it into my own perspective as Houses of Parliament or even Windsor Castle. It's a case of yourself into different people's positions. It did happen and has happened and probably has happened with other people and stuff like that. It's a case of, it's a public office. You're supposed to be treating it with respect. Bit that we're supposed to be going down at this moment in time. The fact that, yeah, Donald Trump may have done this. Did he do it in the offices? No. Did he do it while he was president? No. Has he done anything like that while he's president? No. So why the fuck does it matter? Let's fucking move on.
I agree. And so and this is why, I mean, why are we doing it now? I want to believe, I mean, we haven't even had a chance to bullshit in a while. It's the first time we really, and it's in public, had a chance to bullshit in quite a while, between school and power outages and that's going down, everything else. There's you know, but here it is. Are we part of the problem? I mean, ratings, man. CBS Stormy Daniels sit down and 60 Minutes is at a decade's high, 22 million viewers. I mean, that's a lot. So is that what it's all about for these, you know, to me now? Well, I want to let you say something about that. That's why you see the headline there for this one is bread and circus. Is that what this is, man? I know it ties into the castle intrigue.
No, it is. It's just everything that is now done by any news outlet that's mainstream. It's not done for reporting on news. It's not done because, oh, there's castle intrigue. It's not done because, oh, she might have got information on Donald Trump. How big is he? How small is he? Does the hands fit the purse? You know, those type of shit. It doesn't matter about that, because all it matters about is how many people can we get to watch whatever we're talking about? How much can we get for what we tell people? Doesn't matter what we tell people. It matters how many people can we get to watch.
Yeah. And
that's where people like Sky, people like BBC, NSBC, all the rest of them, ABC. Fucking hell, I'm fucking learning an alphabet here. but that's exactly it. All of the news agencies and news outlets are literally doing this for the ratings. They're not doing it for reporting news. Otherwise, they wouldn't be reporting on different bits and pieces that are going on in the UK. They'd be reporting on fucking Telford. They'd be reporting on the fact that there's an inquiry going on. They'd be just reporting that the fact that there is intrigue in what's going on. The fact that it needs to be brought to people's attention. The fact that Lawrence Southern's been one of the first people to fucking be banned from the UK for life. Where we're fucking taking in people from ISIS fighting groups, but we can't let Lawrence Southern in, who's got fucking passes to go into the White House. Because that's how much she is a fucking terrorist. She has permission to go into the fucking White House.
Oh my goodness. It's like you said, what the really bad thing is when you put that next to your country welcoming ISIS fighters back and having programs to help them deal with PSTD over there fighting against basically you.
Exactly, yes. Here, lads, here, Germans, come over here for after World War II. What we're going to do is we're going to look after your shell shock, make sure that you're okay, and we're going to kick Matey Joe out of his job so you can have it and look after yourself, mate.
Man, that's terrible. And now listen, it's the English way. World War I, World War II, when they got the Kaiser's troops in World War I, when they got Hitler's troops in World War II. historically, did it happen sometimes? Did some of your soldiers torture and hurt and kill Germans? Very rarely, but it did happen. The rule was, the English way isn't to torture. It's to give them a steak, a cigarette, a cup of tea, a nice, comfortable bed, but still, they're war criminals. I mean, even if you're going to hang someone, you still treat them with this kind of respect. And I don't want to get too far off into the weeds.
But Mr. Ogre, if one of our old friends was here, he would let you know that before World War One, we were known for actually holding prisoners and forcing their families to watch them be tortured, so they would give up war.
I know, and I know. There's also a lot of stories of the Revolutionary War. They made a whole movie about it called The Patriot, and there were instances like that. I would just say that in a lot of cases, what has been changed. The bad in history recently has been changed by your little island. Slavery, that started to be abolished in your little island. You all were the first ones to say, hey, it don't matter where you're from or who you are, you shouldn't be owned by anyone. Shouldn't be chattel. Free speech, the Magna Carta, human rights, the Magna Carta, I can never remember, 1528, whatever it was, a long time ago. Anyway, not going to get into an ass-kissing contest. I'm just going to say that people need, it's conflict theory at work. People do need a boogeyman, all right? You know, if we were Indian tribes here in this, there you go. We need something to coalesce, to look at. I mean, and it's still Russia here. Remember, I don't know if you liked wrestling, but we had Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik in the 80s, man. And you know, we just so this is part of it. We need a boogeyman. At this point in our country, though, what I don't like to see is our powerful media is making the president the boogeyman. And he's not. He really is not.
Well, you're saying about your media changing and that, our media has changed very, very recently about obviously the Russian diplomats that you've kicked out of the US, around about 60 of them, I believe, at the top of head. And our media are going absolutely crazy, going, oh, Donald Trump has done really, really well. And like literally the day before, they were going, yeah, he's a cunt. It's just amazing how quickly things change when you affect the other people's narratives.
That's what they say in Washington, D.C. You're a really good guy until you're not. You know, that's how it is. They just, you'd be this. You think of Comey. Comey went from scum of the earth in the Democrats' eyes to golden boy, and he'll probably go back to scum of the earth again. This goes for, I don't know. I did that video today, and it's just, double standards are always a bummer to me, okay? And hypocrisy is always a bummer to me. Be consistent. Even if that consistency makes the world say that you're a bad person, just be consistent. Be true to yourself. In the end, you'll feel better about it. Well, I don't want to get off into
that. You have to have a set of principles. No, I completely agree with you on that. Okay, you have to have a set of principles and stick to your principles, because those principles make you who you are. It's not going to change by what you pretend to be, because you are who you are.
It might sound like I'm just pandering to and trying to point to a video I did. I don't really want to sound like that. I do want to remind people that if someone is consistently throwing out racist, sexist, homophobe, the only evidence being that the person they're calling those things does not agree with a stance. And I don't mean is killing and eating 3-month-old babies okay. All right. I mean just a stance, a political stance. But as soon as there's a homosexual or whatever it may be on the other side, Milo Yiannopoulos, whoever it may be, Lord, they honestly display homophobia, okay? When you talk about a phobia, if you really want to apply phobia to homosexuality, then you have to say it's an unreasoning fear. It's an irrational fear, to quote Lofer Sheffield. He made a funny joke. So anyway, when we see what happened with Milo Yiannopoulos, how they actually they were tearing down the city because they were terrified of his words. That, my brother, is homophobia, visible homophobia that you can measure. You could be a scientist there measuring it.
I mean, I'm going to have to do a fucking picture again. It wasn't the fact that he was gay. It was the fact that he was right wing. So you could say that they were Republican phobic.
Oh, I agree with you, brother. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying if you use the same scale to weigh what they're doing, that's what it says. It says that they are homophobic. But boy, oh boy, they don't want to go for that. This gay guy that Trump appointed to be the ambassador to Germany, what's his name? I just had it up earlier today, and anyway, it's irrelevant. But his name is not irrelevant. I can't think of it. Let me put it that way. But they're blocking him. He's gay. He's openly gay. If it was the Republicans, in common sense, I don't care what the person had done. They have the Democrats in my country nominated Barack Obama nominated a justice that made it there called Sonia Sotomayor. She is a member, an active member of a group called La Raza. That means the race. Their motto is everything for the race, nothing for everyone else. It sounds kind of pretty when you say it in Spanish. But when she was questioned, one thing she was questioned, Common Sense, was, you remember La Raza? How do you justify that? She answered this way. Any Mexican woman that you could pick out can do anything better than any white man. Now, those are a lot of definites. Those are a lot of things that would make somebody biased if they honestly believe that drivel. She's on the Supreme Court because, nobody, the Republicans should have blocked that because it's no different than being in the KKK. But instead, they kowtowed for fear of being called a racist because this person is an insane racist spick. There you go. I'm off my soapbox for that.
I do love the way
circus.
I do love the way at the end you're like, yeah, she's a racist spick. It's like, yeah, double standards there, Ogre.
No, but I'm trying to make a point, brother. If they could be, I've got to do it. I have to.
I know, mate. I know. I couldn't resist after the diatribe you said about double standards and hypocrisy. And it's like, yeah, she's a racist spick. It's like, well done, Ogre.
I come from a day when you calling me a kike wasn't it. I mean, if we get done with the deal, right? And damn well that so let's just say I've got a nice little boat. You want to buy it, little fishing boat. And damn well I paid $1,200 for the boat. It's worth $2,500. I paid $1,200 for it, and I sell it to you for $2,000. And you dicker because I want 25 for where you dicker. You give me what are you gonna say at the end? You're gonna look at me and say, yeah, you fucking Jew, you. That is not racist. That is just not racist. I'm sorry, people. I don't buy into that. I don't feed into that. Recognizing stereotypes or tropes or whatever you want to call them about people that do hold true the majority of the time, it's not racist. It's called observation.
No, I definitely wasn't calling you anything, and I know you didn't think I was either. But I just found that a bit funny. But the actual point that you were making is the same thing as what Labour are doing for the women-only shortlists. It's like all that actually generally does is just discriminate against the people that are actually, you're supposed to be helping. And it's just not beneficial. It's like trying to say, well, the Nazis are bad. Why are the Nazis bad? Because, they promoted only one race. Okay, what race was that? White. Okay, that's really bad. Oh, this woman's perpetuating good for Mexican races, and this woman's doing it for brown people. Oh, they're really good. They're really good. Yeah. No, they're fucking Nazis and racists, you fucking idiots.
No. Yeah, they are. They really are. And it doesn't matter if it's the South African, whatever I can't remember what they call themselves, the ones that are running around trying to kill conscious Caracal's people, or actually not trying, raping and killing these people, murdering them and torturing them on their farms and just taking their land. And they come up and say, that's what we're going to do. We're going to shoot the boar with a machine gun. Oh, beautiful people. They either say it's not happening, which it is. They have it on video. I mean, it is happening. Or they say, well, it's happening because they're terrible and they have it coming because they're white. Yeah. Oh man, isn't that racism, dude?
Yeah, well, pretty much. I mean, we've talked about this many times, obviously, but
I know it. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. We're just sticking about on it and just trying to reiterate the fact that there is literally not necessarily a white genocide because it's not that bad yet. But it's building to that point. It is building to that point. So I don't want to take away anything from it.
In places there is on micro levels, like in Johannesburg, there is a white genocide going when you have a group of people. Let me just put it this way. Since I know we talked about this, just bear with me. It ties in. It's all bread and circus. They don't care what is going on. They don't want you to know what's going on in the background. They want us to be there salivating, waiting for Stormy Daniels to tell us if Donald Trump's prick is this big, or if he was a great lover or terrible, and what he said. And she is, I mean, she's there. She's like, I don't want to get too far. So it's going on, and there's nothing I can do about it. It makes me, I keep saying it, common sense, but I believe that it's going to come soon. Our race will be done.
Yeah, no, I agree. Before we carry on, I've got a moral question to ask all. I know we don't have any feminists, because otherwise they'd be coming on the channel quite a lot, either of both of us, because we'd be wanting to talk to them and find out the reasons why. But if we did have any feminists that ever even ponder this video, or just peruse it, or whatever, and you get to this point, do you think that it's okay for a woman to be able to tell the sizes and how the person was and how everything was while you were in bed with somebody? And if so, why do you think it's then not okay for a man to do the same thing? And why is it not okay for a man to go to a newspaper and tell somebody, I don't know, I fucked Lawrence and she was fucking amazing and she had really big boobies? Why is it not okay for them that, but it's okay for somebody like Stormy Daniels to do it to the press in America for Donald Trump and a man? It's the only question I'd like to ask a feminist on that point.
Well, she's saying she's setting. Here's the problem too. It's a catch-22. She says the only reason she came out and talked to him on 60 Minutes was to set the record straight, because she was called a liar. But she was called a liar because she came out in public in the media and started talking about it. So there's a catch-22. You can't say that the only reason you talked about it in public was to set the record straight when you brung it up to begin with. There is so many inconsistencies. If you look at the picture of her in the, getting the lie detector test, the band on her arm is down here. Would not be. It would be up here. The band right around there. It looks like it's on the set of a porn site. A porn set, and they're actually getting ready to, make it like she's gonna hump the person giving her the test, because it's not set up right. It just isn't set up right. And so if she had it done that way, it wouldn't pick up much. Nothing was where it should have been.
Well, that's the point, though, isn't it? Is it done for, as what you said before, and as they've already alluded to, it's done for the 22 million viewers.
Yeah, for sure.
It's done for the fact of she's now going to trash talk the president. And the fact is that nobody can say anything against it because she's defending herself, because she's been called a liar. And it's just like, okay, so what? You may have been called a liar. You have to go into the personal details of he humped me once to the right and once to the left and then up, down, and it was an A-star fucking finish. It doesn't matter what actually happened on the details, but yet you're going through it. I don't know. It just shows a lack of class, and just the fact that it is actually just to do about a story, not the fact of proving an actual point that you did do something. Which again is soliciting yourself anyway.
Sure. I remember back to Prince Charles and Fergie, or whatever her name was, and I didn't give a shit back then either. I know that because I'm just tying it in because it's your country. Yeah. And maybe the prince doesn't have a lot of political power the same way but they're still, it is the Prince of Wales. There's no getting around that. There's certain standard they should be held to. I like to stay consistent on that, just like I think there should be a certain reverence for the Oval Office. And I often say this, common sense, a little something to get off of this topic as we get into another. It's a really dark topic. But why? Because after Bread and Circus, I think we should look at something that really matters. And it's something that's close to both of us, something that we're both pretty passionate about.
We both got published over.
Yeah, in one way or another, we did. What I was writing about was basically the Telford rape problem. And in fact, I don't care. Let's just get right into it, man. Well, because what else can we say about Stormy Daniels and President Trump? It's irrelevant. It's like smoke and mirrors. It's something for us to have a funny title for our Monday show, Stormy Monday, and for us to go, look at these morons, out there talking about their sex life, and look at this moron denying his sex life and denying what he is. It's just something to keep us off this topic. Well, as I was looking, and I thought I was going to have to just flat out search and search and search, possibly even, oops, I'm presenting the wrong one, possibly even go to, on my Tor browser and get on the deep, and because it's starting to get harder and harder to find anything about Telford. I found this, and it's not necessarily about Telford, but I found this on Drudge. Twisted Trade. This is coming from the Sun, but they can't just print stuff like this if it's not true, believe me. Twisted Trade. Pakistan rapist let off after sick deal, allowing victim's brother to rape his sister. And this is the case of revenge rape involving two families. Has been uncovered by cops after they drew up documents agreeing to the depraved deal. A family allegedly let off their daughter's rapist after a sick trade let the victim's brother do the same to the attacker's sister. Eye for an eye kind of deal. The twisted case of revenge rape involving two families has been uncovered by cops in Pakistan. I know that's redundant, but here, so let me get down to the meat of this. One man has been accused of raping a woman in Pir Mahal in Toba Tek Singha, I don't know if I said that right, just bear with me, district in Punjab province on March 20. The suspect's family had approached the victim's family for pardon and reconciliation. And we know what reconcile means. I'm not going to break all these things down, but for reconciliation, to work this out, according to local news reports. Staggeringly, the victim's family agreed to pardon the rapist on the appalling condition that her brother would commit the same act with the suspect's sister. Now the sister's standing there, they're making this deal. And she's there. Does she have a say? A meeting between the two families agreed to the terms, and the brother then allegedly had sex with the suspect's rapist's sister on March 21st. Cops found out about.
Shouldn't call it sex.
No, cops found out about the case when the two families prepared legal documents agreeing not to press charges against each other. Pir Mahal Police Sub-Inspector Shakat Al-Javed saw the papers and reported the families to his supervisor. So I did a lot of editorializing while I was reading that Common Sense, so I'm going to bounce it off to you very quickly this way and say, we have feminists here that you called out by name and said, where is your help in Telford? They often talk about an idea, this idea of a rape culture. Common Sense, bearing this story in mind and seeing what's going on in your own country, in Telford and other cities. We only name that because it's in the news now, but many other cities and hamlets, your country. What is rape culture? Where is it springing from? Where should we be looking for it? Where should these feminists be focusing their energy?
Well, mostly it's come from Eastern cultures. There's no way around it. It's wrong. Yes, there are white rapists, but generally they don't go around and form grooming gangs. And yes, Europeans do have trafficking. You have to remember, though trafficking and grooming gangs are both bad, they're not the same thing. Grooming gangs are where they actually groom the girls and keep the girls from themselves and then pass them around like cigarettes. Trafficking, though they catch the girls, they then sell them off and then have nothing else to do with the girls, so to speak. And if they do, it's only to make sure that their medical needs are kept to. So yes, there are similarities, but at the same time, there are none. But with the grooming gangs in themselves, the culture is generally going to be Eastern and generally have one particular religion. Because in that religion, it lets them be able to get away with it. Because it says that you're allowed to do this type of stuff. It also says in the Hadiths that you are allowed to do this stuff.
What mindset? Common sense. What mindset? Okay, do you have a sister?
Of course.
Okay. So I do too. So how, I mean, just at base, how does your life have to be different? I'm going back to this rape culture. How does your life have to be different to go from, I mean, let's just ask you, I know it's a silly question, but be honest. How would you feel about having an honest discussion about letting another person rape your sister? Now let's assume, of course, now your brother did rape their sister. We're not going to put you in this way, but your brother raped their sister. All hypothetical. Now I mean, how do you feel about this situation?
I'm going to rip your fucking balls off for fucking asking.
Right. And there's no really, I mean, what more needs to be said? And so what has to be different to go from the mindset that you have to this drawing up legal papers, and everyone agreed to it. The father agreed to let his daughter be raped by this other man.
But that's exactly the point that you're making. It's the case of that type of culture, and especially Pakistani culture, particularly that culture, is under that aspect of saying that women do not mean anything, whether it is their children or anybody else, the white devil, which they're going to have even less aspects for and caring for than their own fucking sisters and daughters. And if they can do that to their sisters and daughters, by fuck, look at what they're doing to our own children. And it's not a case of, oh, let's look and scream and shout. No, look at what they're doing to our children. And this is a plea to mainstream media as well. Look at what they're doing. Report on it. Don't just go, oh, yeah, these girls were teenagers when they were raped. No, BBC and Sky News that spoke about it today. They were fucking children. They were 10 and 11 years old. Lucy Lowe was 11-year-old when she had when she first got raped. She was 14 when she had her first child. She was 16 with a second child when she was
killed, burnt to death. Second child.
Burnt to death with her mother, Eileen, and with her sister, Sarah.
17-year-old sister, yeah.
Yep.
I'm glad that you know these people by name. I need to remember their names because it's not just enough that I know the incident happened and know the ages and the genders, because this is something that's real. How is it real? Well, it's the difference between a culture where the common sense guy and I, whether or not I don't even get along with my sisters, all of them,
nor do I.
Really, really great, but I don't care. The idea that someone will rape my sister, regardless of what I or any of my brothers have done, no, I would sooner kill you than have you rape my sister. The difference between that and me going, well, all right, we'll sign an agreement. My brother's raped your sister, you raped my sister. Well, I'll be even. How do you feel about that, father? Yeah, that sounds good, son. All right. Don't even ask well, the difference is that is what you call a rape culture, because it's ingrained in them to the point to where it's okay what was that word that they used? It's okay to, oh yeah, well, yes, that would to reconcile. So reconciliation. It's okay to find reconciliation by allowing another rape. There's no common sense guy. The common sense will tell you there's no way we could or anyone could ever justify that. If you think that's okay, it's because you come from a rape culture. Simple as that.
Or you're a fucking sociopath that cannot form any sort of form of connections with people. One or fucking t'other.
Yeah. Because call Penny Lori, quick. Yeah. Lori Penny. I mean, whatever. Yeah. Call one.
The thing is, you can't. Fuck now. The thing is, you can't, as we've already said, and I've said before, you can't just sit there as what Ogre's just said and just gone, yeah, okay, yeah, my brother's raped your sister. Yeah, you can rape mine as repentance. That doesn't work. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth only makes the world toothless and blind. It doesn't work, unfortunately, like that. That's the reason why justice was invented in itself, to be able to take it that way. Because all you do in that sort of ideology is hurt more people. And as Ogre's quite rightly said, it doesn't affect the men, it affects the women. Because that man should have gone to prison and probably got butt raped and everything else of that, and then got fucking killed anyway, because sodomy is not allowed, obviously, which is the reason why they do it in prison, because they want to kill you.
Man,
that person wasn't going to go to prison for justice and actually being the person who raped somebody else's sister. Gone, well, no, okay, it doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to give you my other sister, and you can fuck her instead. It's just the mindset that you actually have to be in to bargain people's lives, virginity, innocence, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely barbaric, to the point of where people are actually considering that as a viable option and literally signing papers to go, yeah, it's okay, we won't press charges as long as he rapes her.
Well, now
try and get into that ideology. You just can't.
Now that I've got you revved up, let me finish with this, and we'll really see how you feel about it at the end. Because I want to get deep. You can't call this but one thing. All 12 people at the meeting, including 4 women, one of which, remember the context of the meeting is the meeting of these 2 families to decide what shall be done because the daughter of one family was raped by the son of another. I know it's a lot of sons and daughters, but keep this together in your head. All 12 people at the meeting, including 4 women, one of which was the victim of the second rape, were arrested on Saturday. So what she was at the meeting. As far as we know, this rape culture goes so deep. I mean, let me keep reading instead of editorializing. I'll let you do that. The case has chilling similarities to another incident in the southern city of Multan last July, where a village council ordered the revenge rape of its, I mean, I can't help but laugh because it's disgusting to me. That's a defense mechanism, folks. I'm sorry. The revenge rape of a 16-year-old girl. The girl's brother had sexually assaulted a 12-year-old, and the attack was reportedly carried out in front of her parents and 40 members of the village council. So this person was actually raped in front of 42 people, 2 of whom were her parents, the other 40, the village council. And so that's how they even that up. I mean, God, common sense. If that's not a part of the culture, showing you that the parents and the council members of the town were there as it took place. This is something that's, I mean, come on, common sense. This is unfair. Okay, all right, look, you're coming home, right? You're coming home.
I'm trying to gather.
Let me set this up for you. You're coming home. You've had a hard day at university, got your books under your arm, you're thinking about the paper you got due, and you look over to your left in the park, and you see there's 42 people surrounding a young man raping a young woman. I mean, of course, what you do is like, oh, that must be a revenge rape, and just carry on home, right? Because you live in a rape culture. I mean, we live in a rape culture. Boys rape. We got to be taught not to rape, right? I mean, you'd look at that and be like, oh yeah, of course. If she somebody must have raped somebody else, and so they're evening things out. They're reconciling it as right now.
Yeah, I've calmed myself down a little bit. I was I was ready to go as a viper, but I don't want to, because you've got to not look at it as a common sense point of view or look at it as a rational point of view. But I'm not condoning anything, and I'm not going to either, because it's fucking ridiculous. But when feminists want to talk about this idea of rape being perpetuated in Western civilizations, do you think it might be perpetuated by a particular group that's come across? Do you think that the misogynistic views and attacks that are going on the internet might be because certain people and demographics have come across and gained access? Do you think it might be because of a different ideological set that is now, I don't know, entering, would that be the right word?
Penetrating, yes.
No, I was more trying to think of... No, it's fine, yeah, penetrating will do.
Encroaching.
That's the correct one, yeah. So encroaching on the fact of our civilization, and then the feminists trying to perpetuate, trying to say that we're all the same. And it's like what Sargon has said many times, not all cultures are created equal, not all cultures are the same. And as you quite rightly said, as for 42 people in the whole of a village that has decided as council members, so they're legal elders and legal representatives of that village, decided that they were going to do something as a revenge rape, as in everybody was going to sign papers that witnessed it and saw it and participated in it, not to go to the police or the authorities. So you've got 42 people that are now complicit in that rape and knowledge of that rape, and the one previous to it, the boy that decided he was going to rape a 12-year-old girl, mind you, has now decided that it is now okay for another boy to rape a 16-year-old girl for repentance for that boy raping a 12-year-old. Now, I'm not good at fucking mental gymnastics, but fuck me, I'm over in a crab at this moment in time, and I'm trying to flip myself back over. Because fuck me, that just does not make sense. You raped my 12-year-old daughter, so I'm going to rape your 16-year-old son or sister. What the fuck? No, you're going to take that person, beat the shit out of him, and then take him to the fucking police.
To the police, to go to prison for a long, long time, where they can break rocks or whatever they do there. And as you mentioned, generally when you go to prison for raping 12-year-old girls, you get the long end of the shaft, if you know what I'm talking about. You don't want to, if you drop your soap, you don't dare go pick it up. You just let that bar lay there and hurry up, get the hell out.
Yeah, there's a reason why police have truncheon poles.
And yeah, we don't, I'm not going to imagine, I can only imagine on that one. So, I mean, this is my form of safe space, all right? This is how twisted and weird I am. When I'm listening and watching and getting caught up and getting things in my mind so that when there's a debate or a talk or when we have a show, I have something to say about these ideas, and it's just overwhelming. And all I can hear is, you're a white male and You don't have any right to speak. You're racist. You're a rapist at heart. You want to hang all Negroes from a tree. You don't like Mexicans. You don't like anybody. You're a piece of shit. This is where I go. I go here, and I comfort myself in the knowledge that there are real rape cultures. It goes back to Shakespeare saying, "Methinks thou dost protest too much." These people that are crying so much about how, you and we should have been taught not to rape, because when we go, we're there with our mates out front of the pub having a cigarette and having a pint, and some beautiful young girl walks by, and we say, "You look so lovely today, young lady." We're then pigs and rapists, because 1 out of 10 girls would probably feel uncomfortable. The other 9, why do you think they put the skirt on and the makeup on? And no, I'm not trying. There you go. I mean, now I'm trying to get about ready to apologize, Common Sense, for saying that, because there's the argument again. Well, you're a rapist because you said they put the makeup on for you. Who the fuck did they put it on for? I know the psychological studies that say that women dress for each other, to show off for each other, but they know the boys are looking.
No, actually, the psychological studies actually say that they dress up to make themselves look pretty for a mate, to be able to project to a person that they like. That's what the psychological studies suggest about clothing. I don't know what it suggests about personality traits for what clothes they pick out, but for the actual clothing they wear, it does actually state that they do it for picking out a mate. For instance, wearing red underwear used to be a case of that they were interested in having one-night stands and things like that, where black underwear was a case of not going too far, but looking for a person to meet up with. They've done all the studies and put psychological pieces to it. When you look at it, it's kind of card-hold facts, but at the same time, anyway, I'm going fucking well off track because that's not the point.
No. I love this. So you're telling me that because look, what I did was, it's a fallacy, because you'll hear often they say, well, we know people don't rape for sex, they rape for power. That's from one study that's real. So what I did is I said something as if it's common sense and all known based on one old study that I know of. So that does say that when women, when they dress, when they put on makeup, it's more to compete. But you're telling me now, and let me also make clear, Common Sense Guy studying this stuff I did years ago. There's much more up to date. So what you're telling me is they have gotten it down to knowing if when they wear red panties, chances are they want to get it on with somebody and never see them again. When they wear black panties, they want to go maybe make out, and they're trying to find a mate. They have it narrowed down that much.
Yeah, what they've done is they've literally continued the research of what you've already talked about. The fact that they're competing with other mates and potential other people that are going to take their man away or whatever. They do compete like that, yes. But generally, if they're single as well as being with a partner, they generally dress up more. So, for instance, if you say to your missus, we're going to go out to a really fancy do tonight, don't worry about what you wear. You can wear jeans and a T-shirt if you want. But you say, oh, yeah, we've got the Joneses coming from next door. And, they said that they might get dressed up, but it doesn't fucking matter. You can guarantee it, and I will give anybody $1,000 if their missus doesn't say this. We need to fucking get some dresses. I need to go shopping. I need to get a pair of shoes. You need to get a new suit. You need to wear a tie.
Believe it. I've been married 25 years, and you know what? Maybe it's my upbringing or whatever. I would be on page with her. I would be right there with her.
So would I. I dress to impress. If I'm going out somewhere nice, I'm going to dress up. If I'm going out and I'm just with the missus and having a good time, I don't really give a shit, because I'm with the missus and I'm having a decentish time walking along the beach or whatever. But if we're going out for the fucking night, you can guarantee that we're getting dressed up. We're going to have some fun and we're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to show ourselves off.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's cold here a lot, and convenience for me. Whenever I go out in public, I almost always wear at least a sport coat, because it's got 2 inside pockets, 2 on the outside, 1 right here. I put my cell phone, my wallet. I can keep my wallet and my cell phone close to my right here. I mean, I know there's pickpockets that could slick me easy, but I don't know if they're around here in my neighborhood. There are people that may try that aren't that. To make a long story short, I just like it where it is. And also, I don't know. You know what? There was a time in this country where you didn't go anywhere unless you had a tie on. Anywhere. You didn't leave your house and go up to the store to buy a pack of cigarettes unless you had your shirt and tie on. I kind of am one of those old school dudes that, miss those days. We don't come from a rape culture, Common Sense. We come from a culture of etiquette. We come from a culture in my country before the crazies took over, started taking people's guns and listen, you wouldn't spit your chaw out on a sidewalk in front of a lady and her daughter if there was any men around. If you did that, you were gonna at least get a dressing down. If you didn't stand there and take that, you were gonna get an ass kicking. If you tried much more than that, you're gonna get shot or have to kill somebody. Because we were that's so barbaric. No, that is society. No police officers involved. That is society saying, look, we're a society of etiquette, and one of the things that we do not tolerate is you going into a woman's house and asserting your power on her. When you go cross her threshold, you will take your hat off if she tells you to. You will take your spurs off at her table. You will do what she tells you to do. You will do it humbly, and you will do it quickly, or the men around you will kick your ass. What's wrong with that? That's what I call a matriarchy too, Common Sense, by the way. All this stuff, what's been superimposed over our cultures is this rape culture and this patriarchy. Until we give women the right to vote, that was the down, because most women didn't even want it.
Nope.
When we did that, we started making it a patriarchy, and now it's almost more egalitarian. I think it was better.
It's not egalitarian at all. It is.
No, it's swinging the other way, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's now becoming, instead of it being a matriarchy where it worked for everybody, it's now becoming a dictatorship of a matriarchy. But to clarify on your point, sorry, I'm still ill. To clarify on your point, what you were saying before, the reasons why, and it's been documented quite heavily as well, is not necessarily because women were happy being the homemaker. They were happy knowing they were head of the household. Most men would come back, give their old lady the money for what they've earned, give them a little bit for shopping, give them a little bit for doing little bits and pieces, and ask their missus for a couple of quid or a couple of dollars to go down the pub with. That was the way that used to work. But then it comes to the point that they wanted to do their own work and their own points and their own things. So men become more selfish in the fact of thinking, well, we've got to look after us. It's been well documented by that. The fact that people have actually come out and said, oh yeah, women want to do this, women want to do that. Fine, nobody's got a problem with that. But it's the case of now people are being told what they can and cannot do. And it's not a case of what Ogre was saying before about it coming into other people's houses. People are now coming into their castles by laws to tell them what they can do. Not by just coming in and just going, oh, do you mind taking your shoes off, or do you mind not smoking? They're now going, don't smoke, don't take your shoes off, keep your coat on, make sure you don't look at me like this, make sure you don't get a boner while you're fucking asleep. That's how bad it's fucking getting.
While you're asleep?
There was a story about, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, where a gentleman fell asleep in first class on a plane, and he got an erection while he was asleep. And there was a woman that wrote the story that was saying, oh, how patriarchal and everything else like that, that he's able to do this and he can have this showing. And serious, you can have a look at it. There's a story on it on Google. You just have to put man sleeping with erection on plane, and the story will come up.
Gracious. Well, because the thing of it is, that's how they check to see if impotency is mental or physical. They count boners during the night, because you don't have control over when you sleep. You get erections depending upon how long you're in, what state of sleep you're in, how long you're there.
Yes.
Anyway, carry on. That's just that. I'm listening to you, but that really stood out as, oh my gracious. How can you? That would be like you're in trouble for breathing, basically, because you don't have control over that.
But that's the same thing for temperature. It's too cold. The office is too cold. It's patriarchy.
Yeah, because suits.
It's just exactly.
I know it.
Exactly. It's that type of thing. It's just like, that's the idea of feminism now, where, oh yeah, your legs are too far apart. Yes, because I have fucking balls on me. Why don't you go to Pakistan and fucking stop children getting raped? Actually provide feminism for the fucking rest of the world. Go to Saudi Arabia and make sure that they're fucking driving properly and they don't need chaperones. Make sure that they actually don't need people to go to the shops with them. Make sure that they're allowed to talk to a man on the street without being stoned to death because they might be adultering.
Oh my god.
Go do that instead.
Yes.
Rather than telling people that they can't have boners while they sleep, or why they can't have the fucking air conditioning up too high, or my legs are a little bit too wide because they're fucking sweaty and I don't want to sit on my balls.
Yes. Yeah. Amen. Amen, Deacon. Tell you what, that's why you'll always be a deacon here at Church of Ogre, Church of Keck, because you know how to preach when it's appropriate. I'm going to take both of my mentions in the chat all in one fell swoop. Number one, I will look into why men stand. As I just look into it on Google, the only thing that comes up is this website from Marlene McKee, Manners Mentor. And it starts out by saying, basically, it seems like it should be simple enough to know when it's polite for us to stand, to welcome or say goodbye to someone, but it's not the case, at least not anymore. And then it basically says that shouldn't just stand for women. So I'd like to know why. That's number one. And number two, where was that? Memes of destruction, grossly offensive dreams. Yes. Don't let your memes become dreams, is what the grossly offensive bastard said. And I don't know. I would say that would be a great meme if I find that and can screenshot it like a guy sitting there pitching a tent asleep. I probably will think of something to put on that picture and let that dream become a meme. Oh my goodness.
It just is really funny to me. It's like and I know you've been talking to me about it behind the scenes, but I've been talking about it on videos and live streams and things like that, and even did a post on it, an article. The fact that feminism in itself is not getting behind victims of rape. It's not getting behind people that are actually being affected by a culture that is attacking them, whether it be white, black, yellow, polka dot, blue, or whatever. The culture itself is attacking young children and young females predominantly. And feminists don't want to get behind that. Feminists are supposed to be this loving and protecting and tolerant society that wants to look after everybody, but yet won't protect people and children that are being raped by a man and a lot of men. And you even talk to them, as I have done before and I've showed on many different videos. I'm thinking of you, Chloe, and yes, I still hate you. But I talked to them type of feminists. I even talked to Kevin Logan about it, and he said, "Oh, I did a live stream on it." It's like, "Oh, you did one live stream on it? Well, fucking done."
That closes the door on it, eh? I know that, because sometimes I feel like we get a little bit. I mean, it's been since it's happened. There's not a stream went by where we haven't mentioned it, and this is the third one that I've been a part of, at least maybe the fourth, where it was a big story. But here's the thing: we are talking. We do this to bring people information, not just entertainment. And very few other people are talking about it. Look at, I love Dankula, all right? I love Dank. I wrote a song for Dank, produced it, put it up on air. I did a video I love the guy. I really like the guy. But look at how many videos there are of him. Look at how many videos there are about the Telford rape. Look how many big time people. And the only big time people really talking about it are like, who's the one dude? You beautiful bastards. Well, Ricky Gervais too, but here in the States, like the guy, hey, you beautiful bastards. What's the guy's name? Let's just jump right into it. Anyway, that guy, he's got like 6 million subs. He's covered it, and he's talked about it. Most people, and there I go. What I'm doing is what you said that guy did, because I'm giving it. Just had it on the tip of my tongue. Philip DeFranco. Yeah, Philly D. Right. I'm giving him a pass when the fact of the matter is I only heard him mention it once. So basically, I'm doing the same thing the person you're talking about did by saying, well, he mentioned it once. No, since no one else is talking about it, it should be, man, at least brought up once in a while until it is addressed in all of the towns. Common Sense, not just Telford, but all of the towns where this is taking place, going back 40 years, who knows, are exposed and dealt with. Till then, no one should be caring about people revving cars in racial manners, or people sending tweets saying, where's the truck of peace when you need it, or people teaching their dog to do stupid tricks. Shouldn't be relevant at all, man, until every last one of these other things are dealt with.
No, I completely agree with you. It's a case of this is the type of story that just shouldn't die until something actually happens. Now, I am more than aware, for anybody that wants to tell me in the chat, or if they haven't already, I'm more than aware that there is an inquiry going on at the moment. In fact, I think one of the head police officers for the whole of the UK has gone down and is actually listening to evidence for it. Now, personally, I don't think anything, and this is conjecture in my own opinion, personally, I don't think anything will actually come from this inquiry, bar maybe 4 or 5, possibly going up to 10 people, maybe being arrested and convicted, and probably not for that long either. I personally don't think that this is going to go anywhere. I personally think that this is going to be completely covered up. I honestly, and though I don't like to talk about conspiracy theories and things like that, this is my honest opinion looking at all the evidence that I have. And Ogre will tell you I've looked at fucking shit tons. I've looked at it, and the only conclusion that I can draw using my common sense and trying to use my rational brain rather than my angry side, and trust me, it's really hard to determine the difference when you're reading these stories. Well, the only thing that I can determine from it is the fact that there is a form of protectionism that is going on. There are some form of higher ups that are using these people as a form of a service. I don't know how, and I don't know why, and I don't know who's using it, but I can hazard guesses about the fact that councillors have never ever mentioned it, the fact that the top police chiefs down there have never ever mentioned it, and no investigations have been made up to the late 2000s. I can make conjecture and I can make guesses. I can make guesses the fact that no MP has ever been brought up to it when people such as Bernardo's, the children's charity that's in the city, and even the church itself that has made a couple of inquiries into it. The fact that the MPs themselves and councillors have done nothing. And yeah, people go, oh yeah, but it's just because they're scared of racism. Fuck off. It's not just a case of that. It's not just a case of that at all. There is something else that's there, and there is something else that is using this as a purpose for their own nefarious needs. Because that level of protectionism or that level of naivete of thinking, oh yeah, if we don't say nothing, we can't be racist, just doesn't wash with me. That's just an excuse that's put down on a paper trail. Oh yeah, we didn't want to do it because we sounded racist. It's okay for a victim to come out and say that. But for the fact of actually people and the actual fact of authorities, local as well as police, to come out and say, oh yeah, we didn't want to do it because we were racist. Fuck off. You arrest people based on race on stop and search on a daily basis. So don't give me that shit that you want to fucking pretend you're not being racist. You're using it as a scapegoat. And that's where I am at this point with all the evidence that I've been able to see and look at. The fact that all I can work out is the simple fact that somebody's being protected. I don't know how far it goes up. I don't know how high it goes up. But people are being protected, and that's the reason why nothing will happen with Telford or any of the others. And the more that will come out. And there will be more that comes out.
Well, and as we slip on to the last story, I just want to show y'all, man, this is a little place that they put a story up I did. Trouble with diversity is defined in the modern age. I'm sure Common Senseguy is going to appreciate that. I'm also going to show you on page 1, if you go to the link I'm sending you out right now, out in here. And the cool thing is now, Common Sense, this will be up for posterity. I think you know that. The chat stays up. It's so cool. So when people look at this later, the link will be right there. Cool. Proactive Patriots, hit the latest where it says latest. And for the time being, you'll see that the title Telford, What Can We Do? Published by Proactive Patriots, was by the Common Senseguy. Man, I recommend that you read this. I've read it. Wonderful article. Well done. Well thought out. He's even got something I don't see much, and that's a list of sources. I do love it when someone says, look, not only is this what I think, but other people do think this too. I didn't just pull this out of my hat like a rabbit. So there you go. Hope that wasn't too embarrassing. I'm just proud of you, and you did a great job there. And this is Proactive Patriots here. I'll send a link out for them so that you can check them out on the Twitter. Follow them if you don't know them. They're great. They're always putting out cool tweets. and they're just out there sounding the horn, I guess. You know, the funny thing is, I showed my ass, Common Senseguy. I'll tell you how. I sent them an email when I seen they just sent out a tweet, and it was like, hey, if you want to write an article, send it to us. We'd like it, we'll publish it. So I was like, I sent them an email, and I was like, hey, if it has to do with Islam and it doesn't put them in a very good light, is that okay with you all, or do y'all not touch that? They said, oh no, whatever you want to write, we'll put up if it's good. So excuse me. So then I went back and looked at their site. Probably 90% of the articles are sounding the alarm that the barbarians at the gate, Hannibal at Portus, that they're coming in from the Middle East and they're raping kids. I mean, it's all about this problem here with Islam coming in and doing this culture shift in your country. So anyway, so I recommend it. And it's not all that. As I said, it's about, maybe from what I've seen, it's about 80, maybe 90% of the problem, the Islamic problem. Pakistan. I mean, this problem that's going on with these folks that read the Quran and literally interpret it. I guess I'll put it that way. Is that Islamophobic?
Yeah. No, it's not Islamophobic at all. It's just actually telling the truth. The thing that be Islamophobic is saying that every single Muslim is a child rapist. And let's be honest, not every single one is. Otherwise, you know, every child would be raped.
Yeah, that's right.
So not everybody is, and we never ever pretend that we're trying to say that it is. But it's a conversation that we fucking need to have, because there is a high percentage in a small percentage area that are fucking committing the rapes. So there is something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah. Well, at least one side's worked out how to fix it. You just let one of your brothers rape their sister if it was your sister that was raped. It's simple as that. You can find...
Yeah, that's not fucking fixing anything. That's just an eye for an eye.
Find a resolution. Yes. Yeah. Oh, anyway, this is the last article I brought up. Then maybe we can have our last words. But I believe it or not, first day of spring is already sprung. But I've been having to build a fire every night. It's been good. Tonight, it's not going to be down in the 20s Fahrenheit, but it is going to be down somewhere around 30, below freezing. That would be about -2 Celsius. And so I'm going to go out and build a fire, which, you know, I don't really mind, I guess, but it should be time enough where the warmth of the day and the sun of the day, it's warm enough to last through the night, but it's not. So much for global warming. But I had to point this out. Oh, I have been following this pretty closely. Everything I can find that's said by this Hogg, any of these 5 main ones from Parkland that are on this rampage, on this crusade. Remember, when you're on a crusade, a moral crusade, that means that I don't care who you are or how old you are. If you're going to do that, you're going to say that people should take you seriously. Well, yet you have to look at the moralities that they display. Like the girl, I'm so terrible with names. Like the girl that shaved her head, the little Hispanic girl that's lost her bloody mind. Like she was saying, well, we were told that we ostracized him, but you didn't know that she admits that she harassed this kid and her friends harassed this kid. She admits it. But she said, you didn't know him. In other words, he was an asshole, so we ostracized. Ostracize is a bad thing, okay? That's not just, I mean, that's saying that you went out of your way to push them out and not allow them. It's like the Amish call it shaming, you know, shunning, ostracization. That's not a very good, anyway. This is our moral betters, Common Sense. This is what they leave a town looking like. Now, I'm not going to pop up any pictures. I don't have them ready, but I did search and look and tried to find marches, rallies for the Second Amendment to support it, rallies for the First Amendment. Really, basically, and what I'm trying to tell you is right-wing rallies. A lot of them were huge, thousands of people. In aftermath, and what it looked like, there was nothing like this. This is what these communist, insane, moral crusaders leave a city looking like when they're done using it for a podium.
Yeah, I mean, and just look at the actual pictures in itself. Everything's been completely and utterly left behind. And I can already hear some people in my head going, yeah, but that doesn't determine how bad people are. It kind of does, because if you're trying to preach morality to people and trying to say that we're doing this for the children, we're doing this for whatever fucking insert that you want to put into that point there, that doesn't actually guarantee an argument, just a moralistic point of view, then surely you're going to actually, you know, care about the environment, you know, prove your point by actually being better than the people you're trying to protest against. You know, actually show that your arguments have merits. Wait, sorry, I'm talking to children that all they want to do is talk about morality. Never mind, don't worry. It's fine. We're just going to leave it like we left our room last night.
Let someone else pick it up.
Exactly.
Let
Mom,
yeah,
I want a drink.
Yeah. Let someone else clean up the rubbish. It reminds me, they did this. There's a show. I like to watch your British reality shows from the UK, the UK reality shows. And there was one where they took, I believe it was 12 boys, and they cut them loose at this house. I'm trying to remember if it was going to be for, all I'd have to do is pop up Netflix, but I can't be bothered to do it right now. If it was for, it was at least 40 hours. I think it was supposed to be for a week, but there was no rules. Everything was there to clean up, to wash up after, to make any meal that they wanted to. They checked these boys out. They were all, you know, they were capable of doing these things. Oh my goodness. By the end of the second night, it was Lord of the Flies, baby. It was going downhill, man. These kids were just reverting back to cave beasts. And so, yeah, when you now there was a couple of them that were real different. Now I have to say that, and I do believe that it has to reflect the upbringing. There was one kid that was really trying to keep things clean, telling people to be like that. And anyway, these are obvious babies. I don't know how else to say it. And yes, if you're going to be on a moral crusade, you're going to be scrutinized morally. I'm not on a moral crusade. All I'm doing is scrutinizing the person that's on a moral crusade. I do agree with the Second Amendment. Now, I don't believe that's a moral crusade. I just believe that's being a patriotic American that loves our founding documents, the ideas of our founding fathers, and supports freedom and the ability.
Well, before you carry on that point, if these kids are going on the point of trying to take away guns, or at least trying to put some more laws or whatever on it. Now, let's take away the American for just a second and just let a British person have his perspective on it. If you're going to rely on the state to protect you, I would not want those police officers, 3 of them, that hid behind a fucking car to wait for an out-of-state fucking SWAT team to turn up before they even come in, when they're still hearing people being shot and killed and fucking people crying out for help and dying while they're there.
That's rough.
At best, they could have saved at least 1 extra person. And these kids want the state to look after them rather than the teacher that could pull out a gun and just shoot the kid dead. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a patriotic American, but fucking common sense dictates don't listen to the state when it's been proven to be wrong.
Yeah. Well, and I've read a couple stories that are allegedly true. One is about a teacher. These boys from Hardscrabble Hill would come break the school up every year, no matter who was there, girl, teacher, doesn't matter. They would go to school for a couple days. Their dad was just a jerk, and their uncle. And to make a long story short, well, one year, this male teacher went there, and he was a little guy. They thought for sure he was going to get beat up. Well, one of the fathers of the children that went to school there gave him a black snake whip. And when the one kid went to rush him to beat his ass and then break the school up, he just bam and, you know, whipped Richie. I can't remember his last name. But allegedly true story. I mean, all the kids recounted this. It's in, if you care to know, it was written by Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House on the Prairie, and this was from the book. This was from the book Farmer Boy, that was about her brother Almanzo Wilder. And there was I heard a couple stories about something similar where there was a problem with the teacher. One was a female who's had a lover that was a little cuckoo. And when the lover came to do some bad things, the older boys were armed and they drew down on him, beat him up, and sent him on his way. These are historical things that have happened. Well, they say, well, oh, it's so different now. No, it's not. If you have an 18-year-old in your school, that's going to school, high school, that's able to carry a firearm and is responsible, I don't know. I hate to tell y'all, but when I was 18 and in school, I would have much rather had a pistol on me and not been cowered under the desk waiting my turn to die. I would never have used it to shoot anybody. I would have never waved it around. No one would have ever known I had it unless someone was coming with a gun to murder us all like fish in a barrel.
But that's the thing, though. They didn't even need to have the kids doing it. If they had that gym teacher with a concealed carry at the back of his pants. Instead of the gym teacher rushing the kid, he could have shot him dead. Nobody would have fucking died.
And he obviously would have. I mean, he
obviously, because he was going to charge a fucking kid with a fucking couple of guns on him. Now, don't get me wrong, that takes a fucking brave man to fucking do that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Those bullets go straight through you if you got a bulletproof vest on. It goes straight through both sides of a bulletproof vest and through a human being. And that's not, I mean, I don't want to be too graphic. It's not here nor there. That's the issue is when you, I would like to know what they mean by honest debate. Okay. They obviously don't know how to take care of a city when they come use it for their platform. They obviously don't know how to speak in public without being just grossly, I have to say it, grossly offensive by telling people that had nothing to do with it. They had blood on their hands and wanted to kill children. Brother, I'm going to say this. I'm the first one to always say offense can never be given, only taken. I took offense from that. I did. I love the NRA.
I can imagine. But even if you don't love the NRA, how can you say that the NRA has got blood on its hand when it was a single individual was the one that was actually going off and shooting guns? I've proven in a video before in my fucking rant that over in Japan, which everybody likes to fucking use as a statistic, knife crime went up by 200% to the fact where they had 37 people get stabbed and killed, which is higher than any mass school shooting in your country, and yet nobody wants to talk about the fucking knife crime. It doesn't matter what weapon somebody wants to use to kill you. They will kill you with it.
That's right. And most people are good people, memes. They are now, right now. The problem is of course, we all, you were pointed out, and I was accepting the fact that it's true. We usually all, if given left to our own devices, assume the worst. We do. I mean, when we think about things in our own heads, and as human beings, we think that, oh, this must be this way because of that. A lot of times if we find out the true reasons, if we could see beyond the curtain, we realize that it wasn't what we thought. Things happened in that way because of something that had nothing to do with us. But in this case, I'm just going to say that most people are good people, and bad people have the right to defend themselves too. I've heard it said often that, oh, well, what if somebody's paranoid schizophrenic? If they're paranoid schizophrenic and they've never demonstrated any kind of violent behavior, they do have the right to have a firearm, in my opinion. I know. That's why I went with the 18-year-old kid in high school. Common sense. I always like to look at the worst case scenario, because if you're in prison for murdering people with a handgun and you get 25 years and you get out 25 years later, the first thing that you should be able to do is go buy a handgun. The idea that you can't own a weapon when you're free because of that is so unconstitutional. It's starting to be challenged now here in our country.
I know.
You can't.
I just would like to say that a paranoid schizophrenic generally doesn't actually cause any harm to anybody else. They're more worried about what you're going to do to them.
Chances are they're not going to want to own a gun, too.
Exactly, yeah. Paranoid schizophrenics are only going to hurt you if you are leering over at them and you continually go over and mock them or call them names or whatever, or tell them that they're going to do something that they're not. If you provoke them, yes, they will attack you, but generally a paranoid schizophrenic will run away from you because you're looking at them.
Yeah, they don't want to fight.
That's just the way it is. That's why they're paranoid schizophrenic.
Well, I think about John Nash, the man that the movie A Brilliant Mind was based on. And he was paranoid schizophrenic. I would still say, though, that as a professor and a well-known person, if he felt the need to carry a large knife concealed or a handgun concealed to protect himself, hey, he never demonstrated that his mental issues would cause him to hurt someone. But that said, too, I will say this. I would never stand right up and protest a law that said if you are by a professional, diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic, and that means you can't have a firearm. I don't know, man. I really don't know what to say about that. I wouldn't protest.
We do that with driving. We do that with driving.
Yeah.
There are honest debates that you could have.
Yes.
But trying to say that all guns are bad and all people that support guns are evil bigots, that's not going to win you fucking any sort of votes. We're the future. We're going to vote you out. Listen to us. Clean your room, bitch. Clean your fucking room.
Yeah. And that's true, because no more than the argument that I'm making that you know, we should let every 18-year-old kid that wants to carry a weapon in school and let paranoid schizophrenics have guns. See, that I'm just going, I mean, I am going on the other side of it. That's not a really honest debate either. There has to be some kind of middle ground. And what that is, I believe, is that if you're over 18 and you're not in a facility, either mental facility or penal facility, local jail, prison,
or continuously seeing a medical doctor, as in a psychiatrist as well. You're continuously seeing one, the doctor's going to know that you have a problem.
I'm just saying, if that applies to you, if you're free and over 18, you should have the right to have a firearm. It was that way in this country for a long, long time, for, you know, nearly 2 centuries. And then, I mean, the last century, they started out by saying, well, we have to regulate automatic weapons because Tommy guns was the thing back then. Okay, regulate automatic weapons. Nowadays, everybody says, well, of course you should own a machine gun. I never say that. I say, of course you should be able to go up to the gun store and buy an M16, not an AR-15, but an M16, which is the fully automatic, the one with the selector switch that goes to full auto. If you're, why not? I mean, okay. And they say, oh, only police should have that. Only soldiers should have that. Police carry MP5 POWs that are fully automatic. They can carry M16s. But no, okay. I know everybody, it's hard to hear this. I don't think the government's going to come and try to kill me tomorrow. But the reason it is there is in case the government comes and tries to kill me tomorrow. So if they have automatic weapons, everyone around me and myself should be able to have them. I want my neighbors to have them. In a rational society, if you really think about this, folks, this is the problem. They separated us. When I was young, everybody would have agreed with me because we knew our neighbors. Yeah, we knew there was that one crazy neighbor that had too many guns. We all had our eye on them. And if they went batshit crazy, chances are they would be stopped. A lot of times before it happened. Man, anyway. I really am on a strut now, and I want to wrap it up pretty quick. Common sense.
Well, I just wanted to add two points to this one, and the first one's going to be one that you and Means of Destruction would just sort of talking through in the chat. It doesn't matter if you have good people or bad people, because bad people still have guns now. The only person that stops a bad person with a gun is, ironically, a good person with a gun. Now, do you want a good person with a gun that can take direct action because they're defending themselves? Or do you want a good person to die and wait 10 minutes before they even see anybody to come and help them? Choice is yours. I know what I would rather have. I'd rather be able to defend myself and talk about it afterwards.
I think the term is very English. Don't they say, if you're going to die, die with your boots on? Isn't that an English term?
Yeah, but I think it's Shakespeare, or is it?
Oh, I thought it comes from the trenches of World War I. I really don't know.
Yeah, I think it's because of trench foot though, to do with that one. But I think an American actually said this, and I'm not 100% sure, or was it Shakespeare? I'm not very good with quotes, but it's better to die on one's feet than it is to live on one's knees.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Shakespeare did say, blow wind, come rack, at least I'll die without the harness on my back.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically means what you just said. Don't die on your knees. Yeah, well, that's probably it for me, mate. I got to get going and take care of some stuff around the farm, but I do want you to have your final say about, you know, anything we talked about or anything else. And thank you so much for coming by. Common Sense, has been nice to have you around today and to just hash over some stuff that matters to us, and hopefully everybody understood what we were saying and we made some good points. Whether or not we changed anybody's mind or if everybody agreed with us, I don't know.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. The audience that we actually have, most people, around about 99.8% of the people agree with us.
Yeah, I know. I try to pick things a lot of times. It's not that way. Tonight, it's kind of hard to disagree with. It's all just a big show, and Stormy Daniels is humping a powerful man that wasn't president at the time, of course. I mean, all these things. It is hard to disagree with the sides we were taking because it's true. It's the way it is. So what do you think, mate?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm just about to go on a diatribe now. Every single story that we've mentioned today, whether it'll be about Stormy Daniels, whether it was about the Telford rapes, Mr. Hogg and how bad they were at everything, or whether it be about actual rape culture, you'll notice, even though it's an easy scapegoat to make, you'll notice that all of these are intentionally linked. They are linked by a single form of ideology, and that is the form of feminism and the idea of Marxism along with it. And that is the point of feminists should be able to do this, but men can't. Feminists should be able to talk about this, but this shouldn't happen. This is the point of we shouldn't be able to talk about this culture because it affects our culture. This is not the point that should be happening. Then you get to the bit about taking people's guns away. It's like, wouldn't you rather live and wouldn't you rather actually be able to defend yourselves or have people that are able to defend you generally looking after you at that time? Or would you prefer to have a state to look after you that won't even come into a room after you because they're too scared of an 18-year-old boy when there's 3 of them? These are the questions that we've now got to answer as a state in ourselves. And no, that's not a pun on words. We are our own state. As we've all said before, we have our homes, we have our castles. That's the reason why Americans have their guns, so they can defend their land and look after their own land, to be able to defend themselves against the tyranny of government and the tyranny of man. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go out and kill everybody or do anything that they want to do, because other people have guns and they can do the same thing. That's the whole point, is what Ogre and myself have always said before. A gun-carrying society is a polite society. You never see people get mugged and things like that in a gun zone. It just generally doesn't happen because you don't know who's got a gun and who hasn't. But that's a little bit of conjecture, but it is backed up by some stats. My point is, though, the ideological point still stands. The fact is that these ideologies, mostly feminism and mostly Marxism, are coming to the point now where they are generally affecting how our countries are being run. Not by how we think in universities, not by how our news media is now perpetuating story after story about how white people are racist but black people aren't and whatever. The fact of we cannot now report on the fact of children being raped. The fact that we can't report on the fact of maybe this was a cover-up because it happened 8 years ago and the BBC didn't even fucking report it. These are the things that we have to look at and wonder to ourselves, are these the ideologies that we need to stem? Are these the ideologies that we need to stop? Of course they are. How do we do that? And that's the biggest question that we need to actually answer. I've been watching Sargon. Sargon spoke at Speaker's Corner yesterday in one of his live shows. And I think that's where a lot of people have now got to do. We've got to start talking to people. We can't be afraid of being called racists and bigots anymore. We have to just generally talk to people at work, with your friends. I'm not trying to say that everybody needs to go down the Speaker's Corner and speak your mind or whatever. But if somebody asks you a political question, don't be afraid now to come out and say, well, no, I disagree with that point and here's why. We need to start putting ourselves back in there again. We need to make a counterpoint. And no, I'm not trying to be cool and say we need a counterculture. We need to counter the points. Otherwise, it will steamroller our culture. It will steamroller our countries. And yeah, I know I'm preaching to the choir already. But that's the point. If I can preach to you, then you can preach to somebody else. And you can guarantee that I talk to my friends all the time about this sort of stuff as well. But the smallest and the largest journeys both begin the same way. And that's with a single step. And that's the same thing with a ripple in the pond. Starts with one. And you can make a tsunami from that ripple. It all depends on what you want to do, my brothers and sisters. Not because of me, not because of you, but because of the fact that we need to protect ourselves and our country. And most importantly, we need to protect our children. Thank you very much for letting me come on your show today, Ogre. I really enjoyed it. And just to let everybody actually know, I've actually finished college a week early. So I'm really good.
I didn't know that. That's good. Yeah, well, thanks for being here. Of course, it was a lot of fun. It was a good talk. It's good to ponder these things. I don't know what good it does when people come together and discuss ideas when we don't have any power. Makes me think about the accusation of I can be prejudiced, I can be racist, because racism is a combination of prejudice, and power. And so they say, what power do I have? Wow. I can't even, I am barred from using some words if I want to be looked at in a good light in society. It'd be very easy to go back and look at videos that I've done and for someone to take words that I've said and then to automatically say that I'm a racist. I couldn't, I mean, you know, whatever. I couldn't be a politician. I don't want to be, don't get me wrong. But I mean, there's a lot of things I probably couldn't do at this point in time. You know, what's the world coming to when that is the truth? When Common Senseguy and myself can't come together, say exactly what we think, not impugning any particular race and saying that we're better than anybody else, basically in some cases saying that we're equal without these slings and arrows. I'm not going to go too long. I really am up against the clock myself, folks. I really want to convey one idea here. If the quickest way to have what you are, your culture, be null and void, be extinct, is to not have people coming into your culture assimilate to your culture. Exhibit A, the Native Americans. I've said it before. I'm right here deep in Algonquin territory. Lily dog, shut up. Come on, Lily dog, shut up. I'm here deep in Algonquin territory. In this area, in this time of the year, the wigwams were getting set up around here. They were starting to go out and fish on the banks and set up lines, starting to shoot deer. I mean, it was the end of the winter, and everywhere where people could live would be natives, the Padua, the Michigami, the Ottawa Indians here. No white people whatsoever. No white culture. The people that lived here were cannibals. They would eat the people that did them wrong. If one tribe came in and, you know, raided them one night when the Braves were out, or, you know, 2 days away on the hunt, came in and killed a couple of their women, raped some of their young women, maybe took one as a hostage, took some of their stores and went away. Hey, if they found out who did it, chances are they were going to kill one or two of them and eat their heart at least. And in a lot of cases, just chop them up, put them in a stew pot. Where and why am I mentioning that? Well, A, I think it's interesting. And B, that's how much different it is now. There's no wigwams here whatsoever. There's not even a place. There's a casino, Soaring Eagle in Mount Pleasant. And yes, they call it a reserve. They don't, you have to look really hard on the calendar at the local chamber of commerce to find where there is any kind of powwow or Indian gathering or traditional anything other than the BS moccasins they're trying to sell you at the casino that are made in China in a lot of cases. The ones that are made by the actual indigenous people that are there are so expensive. But anyway, don't believe this stuff. Don't fall for it. If you agree with people that say, if you put your faith in politicians that tell you that you should just accept a culture, even if it's starting to overwhelm your own. Remember the Native American. They're gone. The ghost of Osceola, the ghost of Sitting Bull. They're telling you now, protect your culture or your people will join my people and will become extinct. And I tell you, I don't have much else to say. That was all load of shit, wasn't it? And you can forget all that. Remember to go by, if you like audiobooks, check out the Ogre's rendition of The Gunslinger. There's 4 parts put up right now, so somewhere around 80 minutes worth of audible pleasure. Just check that out if it's your thing. If not, forget that too. But remember this, be good to your friends and be good to your family members. Be quick to say you're sorry. You know, be even quick to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge you'll never be able to forget about it. Because, constant viewer, you already know this. When you least expect it, at that time, you think not. Your friends, your family members, your loved ones, and everything you know will depart from you.